All right, we're live. All right, welcome to this month's November workshop. And just a reminder, this call is not a Q&A. This is just me going over everything we've tried in the last month to grow our barbershop and things that worked, maybe some things that didn't work, and things that we're planning on doing next month to grow the shop even more. So since we did one of these calls, I thought I'd start by sharing what we talked about last time, and then I'll get into some of the results, some things that we see working, and then we'll go from there. So I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see this. All right, so this is what we talked about in October. So just a reminder, not a Q&A. If there's some time at the end and there's any questions, I'll answer some questions. This is a call that we do for our paid group. If you're watching the recording, this is a call that we do for our barbershop owner mastermind group. So this is where we talk about things that we learned, things that are growing the shop, and I'll show you exactly what I'm doing to help grow my barbershop. So I talk about things that I changed, lessons learned, what's working, what's not working, and what we're planning on doing next month. So this was kind of our call for last month, the last time we did this call. So we started experimenting with teaching clients how to write reviews. That's been working. The reviews are higher quality. People are participating more. It's just better, right? So if you want to know more about that, I actually made a whole course on how to get clients for free using Google. That's in our Barbershop Owner Mastermind group. But in short, teaching clients how to write reviews has been more effective than just simply asking them to write a review, because now they actually know how to do it, right? And how to do it in a way that's going to make the review more effective. We started testing hiring earlier. That's also turned out to be a good thing, because usually, I learned this the hard way, but when you wait too long to hire, you end up causing some bad things, right? Because it's good to be busy, right? We all like being busy, yes, at least we should, right? But the downside as a barbershop owner is when you wait for your shop to get really, really busy, is that you actually start to get to the point where you're putting a lot of stress on the team, right? Because they're constantly having to stop and answer the phone. They have to just stop and go greet walk-ins, like assuming you don't have a receptionist, right? So if you wait too long as a barbershop owner to hire, you start to put more stress on the team. Yeah, you're more profitable, you make more money, but it's a kind of a balance, right? There is such a thing as being too busy. So I think that you want to wait, you want to hire a little bit before you get to the point where you're considered like too busy. And you have to really figure out, and this is what we talked about in our last call, so I'm not going to dive into it too much, but you basically just have to figure out what's that number for you. Like for us, we found that hiring at 75% booked makes sense for us based on our numbers, everything. It might not be the same for you. So you have to kind of do the math and figure out, and I put a little calculator in here, but you have to try to do the math and figure out this is what makes sense. This is what makes sense for our shop, right? And for us, we figured out that based on the math I did, hiring at 75% booked actually made us more money than waiting until we got more busy, right? Because if you wait too long to hire, and I'm going to talk about some of the tactics I used this month to get some new barbers, but if you wait too long to hire, then what's going to happen is especially if you're running paid ads, then your ads are going to start to become less effective. The reason why is because a lot of new clients are seeing your ad, right? Or they might see it multiple times, and then they're not usually looking to book like next week or 2 weeks from now, right? A lot of new clients want to come in like today, like right now, So if you don't have the capacity to handle the new clients that you're trying to get from the paid ads, then you're going to end up basically wasting money. You're going to end up sending clients to your competition. So this is why it's important to kind of find that balance between hiring barbers and looking for clients. If you're looking for clients, you should have the capacity to handle extra clients. If you don't have the capacity to handle extra clients, then you might need to dial back the ad spend a little bit, or to dial down the marketing, and then focus on getting more barbers. And then once you have the help, then you turn the marketing back up. But if you just keep marketing and you don't have the capacity to handle more clients, then you end up just wasting money on it, especially on ads, right? So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much, yeah, I mean, everything else still working. So we're paying barbers we started incentivizing them to sell memberships and basing it on the bonuses are based on cash collected. So now we're selling more annual memberships as opposed to just monthly because the barbers get a higher bonus if they sell an annual. So, and it's also a win-win because we get cash as a barbershop all front for basically the whole year. And then we're pretty much guaranteed to have that client for the entire year, right? So it definitely makes sense to align the incentives with the barbershop, like with what works for the barbershop and what also makes the barbers money. Let's see. Membership program still growing. We're going to cover that in this month's workshop. I'm just kind of reviewing last month's for now. Yeah, so I did talk about the conference last month that I went to in Vegas, but so the biggest thing that's kind of on our agenda for this call, but not a single, there wasn't a single haircut done. Not a single question was asked about cutting hair. And I don't know if I mentioned it in our last call, but the guys at the top, I mean, the very top, I'm not talking about influencers. I'm talking about people that are actually making real money, like 6, 7, 8, sometimes 9 figures in this industry. The people that are making that kind of money, they're not doing anything different. They are just doing the same things that you can do. You have the ability to do in your own shop. They're just experts at it at this point. And I think that's the difference between people that make it to the top and everybody else is like everybody that's at the bottom is just kind of looking for some secret, some secret marketing hack. It's just like there's nothing new in our industry, you know? It's just you got to hire if you're a barbershop owner, you just got to hire good barbers, keep them, learn how to market and keep those clients when they come in and then keep doing that, right? Do it consistently. So that's what probably the biggest takeaway besides that there wasn't anything, not a single class on hair cutting, was that also the people at the top, they're not doing anything different. It's just I sat through 3 days of classes. I listened to multiple multi-million-dollar barbers, hairstylists. They all said the same thing, marketing, retention, hiring is that was it, right? And not too many of them talked about social media too, which was interesting, which also kind of confirmed my belief that like there are other ways to get clients besides social media. I think social media is probably the slowest way to get clients. If you want to get clients fast, it's not going to happen through social media. There are plenty of barbers that have a huge social media following that if I went on their profile right now, I could book an appointment with them today. So that just tells me that social media is not the best way to get clients. I mean, I think it can help for sure, and you should do it, but I don't know that it should be your primary focus. I built a multi 7-figure barbershop with basically no following on social media, no partners, no investors, nothing. So if social media was the best way to get clients, then how was I able to do it? Maybe social media is not the best way. Yeah, so I think this is the kind of the plans that I had going into this month on our last calls. So going to continue hiring earlier, did that, preparing for the busy season. Definitely hard to hire. I can say that for sure. That is still true. Hiring in November and December, some of the toughest months of the year, right? Because people typically don't look to leave their barbershop when they're busy. Like you, as a barber, at least this is what I've seen from the barbershop owner perspective. People don't usually look to leave where they're at if they're busy and making money. So in November and December, everybody's busy, right? It's back to school. Well, that's August. But in November is Thanksgiving. December is Christmas time, New Year's. So everybody's busy. So it's very, very difficult to hire in these last couple of months of the year. It was a miracle that I think we were able to pull it off. And I'll show you how I did it. But man, yeah, the idea I think is another benefit to hiring earlier is because if you hire before you need somebody, you can be a little bit more picky. Whereas if you're trying to hire and you like desperately need help, then you might lower your standards where lower than what they should be just for the sake of getting help. And that's never a good idea to lower your standards when it comes to hiring. So I think when it comes to hiring, you want to have options. You want to be able to be as picky as possible because not everybody should get a chance, right? It's only should be the right people should get a chance. And then just because you hire them too isn't necessarily a guarantee they're going to work out. So keep that in mind. This is things that I've learned years of making mistakes, right? Hopefully you guys can see me. All right, cool. All right, we're still going. Okay, and then we were going to keep testing the new offers. I am excited to share you the results about that. Testing new prizes. I'm going to share the results from that as well. And then, yep, we've still been being consistent. My wife does our YouTube. She's been very consistent with the YouTube videos and the social media content. So our channels are growing all around. And yeah, we can talk about that for a little bit. All right, cool. So let me share what our agenda is for this call. That was just kind of a recap of last month. And so let's start with the marketing, right? Because that's what a lot of you guys are interested in. Grab a sip of Red Bull real quick. All right, so let's talk about marketing, right? My favorite subject. So last month, if you remember, we talked about testing a new offer. The theory was, what if we gave away a prize that was so ridiculous that people couldn't say no, right? Like, and the barbers were actually like trying, and that's, well, what we decided to do is give away a TV. This is a 65-inch 4K TV. And the theory was, if I give away a TV and we run an ad about it, that prize, the TV in this case, is such a good incentive that it will actually drive our costs down to get a new client. And it turns out that's exactly what happened. And this is something that we're still doing, like the ad is going as we speak. All right, but so far, when I ran these numbers, we've spent a little over $2,300 on ads, which generated $3,200. So we've actually have a positive ROI because we can actually see our Facebook ads are tied to our booking system. So we can actually see, like, this is how many people came from Facebook and booked an appointment. That's how we know this is how much we spent, but then this is how much we generated from just this one ad. We have other ads running, but that's how we're able to track this because the two are tied together. And so this ad has generated 70 new clients. And we actually ended up spending $900. That's what I consider the cost of the giveaway, because we actually bought 3 TVs. So we did 1 TV for each location, and that's going to go to the barber that has the highest rebooking. That's what we're doing this month. We're focusing on rebooking. And then 1 TV is for the clients. So we're going to pick one random client who rebooks their appointment to get a TV. And in a few days, we'll figure out who the winner is. And then we're actually going to run it again next month, because that's one thing I can tell you guys. Once you find something that works, just keep doing it. Just keep doing it until it stops working. Like, it doesn't have to be exciting, I think it should get to a point where it's boring. It's boring and easy for you, because if you are constantly changing things up, it's going to be hard to figure out what works, right? It's also going to be hard to get good at it, right? Because now you have to learn something new every month. So once you find something that works, stick with it. So this is me kind of following, walking the talk, basically. So we figured out that this works. Contests in general work, but I feel like the prize, like what you give away, has a huge effect on the effectiveness on the contest. So if you're going to do a contest, go all out. Don't do some like $10 gift card or whatever. We're giving away a $300 TV. And in January, I have something really exciting planned. I'll share with you guys maybe in our next call, but I think that it's going to be even more effective. But basically, in short, the giveaway worked. It's continuing to work. We generated a positive ROI on our paid ads. For the regular ads, just for comparison, we still got 124 new clients within the same period, but it was way more expensive to get those clients. We spent a lot more and generated less than with the TV giveaway. So even though there was a cost associated with giving away those TVs, it still actually made sense in the long run because we made more money. Even when you even when you add in the cost of buying the TVs and everything, you can see that the way it's broken down right here. And so including the giveaway cost, our customer acquisition cost was $46.12. But with the regular ads, it was $59. So it was actually, in short, we got new clients for 23% less by giving away a TV, $900 worth of TVs in this case. So, and we have a positive ROI. So for every $1 we put into these ads, we got $1.41 back. Where with the regular ads, it was actually not negative, but it was not a dollar. It was almost half, right? Um, Half that, right? So definitely and I think that when we do our giveaway in January, because for next month we're just going to do the TV again because we know that that works, and I also want to give the barbers that didn't give a chance to win the TV another chance next month. We're going to base it on rebooking again, but for January it's going to probably be based on retail or something like that. Yeah, because rebooking is a tough one because it doesn't directly generate revenue because clients can cancel those appointments and things like that. So I'm a little bit worried about no-shows and cancellations next month because of the barbers have been pushing so hard with with rebooking this month. So I'll get into later some tactics that we've been using to kind of lower our no-show rate. But yeah, rebooking is a tough one to kind of base like see a direct ROI, but like a retail contest, super easy, right? Because if we can see like this is our average retail, and then if we do a contest, this is what it is now, and then the difference is how effective that contest was. So I think that's why I'm leaning towards doing a retail contest in January, because also January is typically a slower time of the year in general, at least for us. So we can't do a lot like in terms of like forcing clients to come in, but what we can do when the shop is slow is figure out how do we try to generate a higher average ticket off the clients that are coming in, so that way it's kind of equals out, right? We can't get more clients to come in because sometimes you're just in that season of the year where it's just tough, right? November, December are great because you got all these clients, that all your regulars coming in, like your normal flow, and then you have the people that get their haircut like once a year coming in for the holidays or whatever. So it's a little bit busier than usual around the holiday times. But after in January, it usually kind of plummets, right? But one thing that we've seen this year is, and that's a huge benefit of having the memberships, is that when we have having a memberships has actually leveled out these like spikes and dips in busy and slow times of the year because people are paying every month for their haircut, so they're coming in. So it's actually like this year has been a lot more stable in terms of the traffic coming in and out of the barbershop because people are paying for their haircuts every month, so they're coming in, which is exactly what we want. So it's actually win-win. Like it's keeping us relatively stable in terms of traffic coming into the shop, and clients are coming in. They're not forgetting about their haircut as much. So it's actually less work for us because, as you know, as a barber, if somebody goes even a few months without a haircut, it makes your job a lot harder. Haircut sometimes takes a lot longer. So when people are coming in just getting regular maintenance cuts, way easier to do, and everybody wins with the membership program. So I don't think that January will be like as slow as like previous Januaries because we have so many members now. But it's going to be slower than November and December, though. I can pretty much for sure say that. So in short, when it comes to marketing, biggest lesson I've learned this month is if you're going to do a giveaway, do something that people actually care about. I think that because in the past we've done things that were worth more than a TV, but it has to be something that people actually want and that they can. I think this is the key here too. I think that it has to be something they can easily like Google and see like, oh shit, that's actually worth like, a lot of money, right? Um, I wish I could tell you what I'm planning on doing next month, but you'll find out soon. But I think it's going to be something that I think a lot of people are going to want, and that it's going to take our contest to another level. But it has to be something that people care about because I've given away clippers, I've given away gift cards, we've done other things that were probably worth more than this TV. But it's like, who doesn't want a new TV? You know, it's like none of us need a new TV, but like, yeah, I mean, when you're thinking about what to give away, think about something that people actually want, that they can easily understand the value of that. and it's going to make the giveaway a lot more effective. And this is also something, what we did this month was actually new. So we don't always like advertise what the giveaway that we're doing in the shop. Usually it's kind of like internal, like we'll send out an email blast or something like that to our internal base. But this month was actually kind of new. And so what we did was we matched basically our internal promotion with our external promotion. So what we basically created ads that announced to everybody who is not a client, just anybody on Facebook or Instagram, about what we're doing in store. So that was the kind of another big change, was that we kind of tied our external promotion to our internal promotion. And we found that it actually worked really, really well. So we might just keep running that play over again in the future because, yeah, I mean, just repeat what works, right? So if we were doing a giveaway in store, why not turn it into an ad? Sounds like common sense, but honestly, it took me a long time to learn this stuff. This is the whole point of these calls, just kind of show you guys that I'm just kind of learning as I go, right? So in short, was it worth it? Yes. To give away a TV, even though we had to buy 3 of them, was worth it. And we're gonna do it again. And then the month after that, we're gonna do something else with a different prize, different goals for the contest. But basically, it's a good idea to do a contest for your team because it gives them a reason to try, and the clients, it gives them an incentive. I'm glad I thought about this because this is such an important point. If you're gonna do a contest, the first person that you have to, or if you're trying to change behavior in your barbers, period, the first thing you have to do is sell the barber on why they need to do it. Because if the barber isn't sold on why they should be doing something and how it benefits them, how it benefits the business, then they're never going to be able to communicate that to the client. So the first thing you got to do is try to figure out, how do you sell the barber? And then if they're sold, they will sell the client. So in this case, it seems like the TV was enough to kind of sell the barbers on why they should try. I don't think I've ever seen rebooking numbers this high before, and we'll get into those in a second. But yeah, it's definitely, they are sold, they are bought in, they want that TV. I think the same thing is going to happen next month. So yeah, if you want to get the barbers to do something, if you want to get the clients to do something, actually, if you want to get the clients to do something, sell the barbers first. If the barbers are sold on why they should do something and how it benefits them, they can sell the client easily. So it's about conviction. They have to be convinced. They have to be sold. They have to believe in the why. And if they believe it, they will sell the client. And that's worth more than the perfect script. That's worth more than any incentive you can offer. You just have to get the barbers to believe that this really benefits them. All right, so let's get into employee stuff, because if you're a barbershop owner, this is probably one of those things that, takes a long time to learn, like it did with me. So we did end up hiring a barber. We got super lucky. So I thought it'd be really interesting to share some of the stats with you on that. So we started kind of like seriously looking for barbers on October 28th or so. Like, that's an estimate. I don't actually know the exact date, but that's when I would consider I took it seriously, right? Because we are always looking. That's the thing that I think, if you take away one thing from this section of the call, you should always be looking for barbers. It's just like you should always be advertising for clients. The only thing that changes is basically how was I saying it recently? It's basically like the level of effort. That's not it. It's sense of urgency, right? So the sense of urgency dial, when you're busy, or when you're not busy and you don't need help, should be basically turned down to like not zero, because you should always be looking, but pretty low. Maybe let's say the dial 5 is the highest, right? And it can go down to 0 where you're not looking at all. But I think it should never go below like a 1 or a 2. So we always have stuff out there that says we're hiring, even if we're not, because the idea with that is we want to keep collecting applications, right? We want people applying, because sometimes good people come along and it's not at the time that you need help. But this might be like a great person, and maybe there's somebody on your team that's underperforming, and you can kind of let them go and swap them out with the new one. Or better yet, what I usually do is I basically just add that person to a list, and I reach out to them and I let them know, like, hey, we're not hiring right now, but when the spot opens up, I will let you know. And when you are hiring, you have a list of people that you can reach out to and like, hey, I saw that you applied way back then. We have a spot open up. Are you still interested? And if you have like 20 of those people that might have been a great fit, but you were hiring at the time, and you reach out to all 20 of them when you are hiring, chances are at least a few of them are probably still going to be interested in having a conversation with you. So basically, that's why you never want to turn the ads off. That's probably the biggest lesson I've learned when it comes to hiring, is like you always want to have a steady flow of applications coming in. And if you get a good application, then just reach out and tell them like, hey, sorry, we're not hiring right now, but if something opens up, I'll reach back out to you. And then when you are hiring, you do that. You reach out to them, and it's way easier to get that spot filled if you already have a list of people that you can reach out to. But when around like mid to late October, I started realizing like I don't think we have enough help going into the busiest times of the year. So I turned up the level of effort. The sense of urgency went a little bit higher when it came to hiring, and I started running paid ads. And this is actually something new that we tried, but we did it on Indeed. That's like your typical, like, I think you should, if you're hiring, you want to be on every job board, period. Well, the thing that we did new this month was we actually started running ads on Facebook for barbers, which was really, really interesting. And that actually had some really positive effects, which we'll get into. But total ad spend between Facebook, Indeed, we spent about $1,221.19. I posted on Instagram and Facebook basically every other day. It was just the same reel. I would just post it, and then 2 days later, archive it, right? So that it's not like every other post says we're hiring, right? But that's the kind of things you got to do in order to get people, right? Because sometimes people need to see things, or they don't see it the first time. So, in addition to paying to run ads, we also did organic stuff. I reached out to just like I was just mentioning, I reached out to everybody that had applied in the past that seemed like they would have been a good fit, to see if they were still interested, and some of them were. I posted on almost every job platform that you can think of. I have a tool where I can just post at one place and it posts to all the job boards. And then when somebody applies, it all comes back to the same place. I put banners on our website, so when people go to our website, it says now hiring. And then I asked the barbers for referrals. So I asked, you can ask your team. I think that's probably one of the best places to start, is that you can ask your team, like, hey, do you know anybody that's looking for a new job that you think would be a good fit here? So this is kind of the results of that effort. Oh, and I don't think this is on the list, but this is a huge, and I think this is actually one of the reasons that made all these effort like much more effective, is because I just asked my state. I'm in Florida. I just reached out to the barber board, and I was just like, hey, is it possible to get a list of all the barbers and cosmetologists in Florida? And they're like, sure. And they sent me a list. And I'm like, holy shit. So there's like 100,000 something people on this list. And I was able to filter it by just the people in our city. And then I just sent them all an email basically saying we're hiring. And the second I sent that email, we got like probably 10 applications within 24 hours. So that's another huge tactic, and it was free in my case, but some states charge you for this kind of stuff. But you can just ask your state. If you're a barbershop owner, you can just ask your state, like, hey, can I get a list of all the barbers in my area? And they might say yes. And then you just get that list and you just send them all an email and saying, hey, we're hiring. This is what we offer. If you're interested, here's how to apply. Right. We did that, and it was very successful. So here's where the results of all that effort, right? So we ended up getting 28 applications through our website. We got 81 messages through Facebook through our ad that we were running, because the call to action was to message us. And then 12 applications through Indeed. So total inquiries, 121 people responded to the ad. Out of those 121, I ended up doing 9 interviews. And then of those 9, one person got hired. So just to kind of show you guys this is kind of the level of effort that it takes, I think, to hire. Because I could have filled the shop the first day when I started looking on the 28th, but we although we're in a position, I think, where we need help, it still wasn't like quite to that point where it's like we were desperate. And I think that's when you want to hire. It's like when you could use somebody, but you're not like desperate. And because if you wait till you're desperate, then you might just hire any warm body, right? And that's not what you want as a barbershop owner. You want the best people. So you basically have to start to figure out, just like with marketing, how do I get the most amount of applications so that I can just filter through and just be very, very picky and just choose the best, right? And I turned down some really high qualified people that I think would have been great for our shop for just little things like availability. Um, maybe they needed a little bit of training, right? But I was just like, we're in a position right now that in a time of year where we just want somebody that comes with batteries included, just like very minimal training, basically has an open schedule, and that's the barber that we hired met that criteria, right? And everybody else, I basically told them, like, if something changes, reach back out. I always, let people know why, right? Or at least I let them know that we're not going to move forward. But that basically, it took 121 applications, spending almost a little over $1,200 to get one barber. So that's the kind of effort I think you need to put in order to, and maybe, I'll get better at this in the future, but out of 121 applications, we'll say inquiries, one person got hired. And I think this person is going to turn out good. So we'll see. And then we promoted 2 barbers at our Southside location, which I think is also going to help with the training aspect, which we'll get into. So let's talk about ops now, operations. So we found that at our Southside location, I noticed a dip in our no-show rate, which is good, which means we're having less no-shows. So I asked the manager, like, what have you guys been doing? And she basically said, they basically, at the beginning of the day, they sit down and they see all the people that haven't confirmed their appointment, because our system asks all the clients to confirm their appointment. And if they didn't confirm, then they text them and they basically say, like, hey, are you planning on coming in? A little bit more direct, not just a reminder, but like, hey, are you planning on coming in? And if they are not, they usually cancel their appointment or they reschedule, right? Either way, that's lowered the no-show rate. One thing I can tell you, that there's nothing you can do to completely eliminate no-shows. Even when we were making clients prepay for their appointments, they still no-showed. So I would rather just focus on, like, how do I get better at letting people know that they have an appointment coming up, than do things like charge, put cards on file, charge deposits, things like that, because it just makes everything else harder. Like, especially if you're trying to get new clients, unless you're like crazy booked weeks out in advance, I don't think you should even be thinking about charging no-show fees and cancellation fees. Like, you're not even busy yet. So that's, even we're, as a barbershop now, I don't even think we're in a position where it makes sense to charge people a no-show fee. Like, we can get better at being proactive, right? Because a lot of barbers just think about today. Well, you can also start looking at your schedule for tomorrow, for next week, reaching out to people, letting them know, like, hey, are you still planning on making it to this appointment? Being proactive has had a bigger effect on lowering our no-show rate than charging people for cards on file, and then charging people for like no-shows and cancellations, stuff like that. Because if you charge people for canceling, especially, then you're going to have a really hard time rebooking them, right? Because you punish that behavior, and now you're asking them to book their next one, and now they're going to be like, oh, no, I'm not going to do that. I'll just book it online. So you're going to have a hard time rebooking people if you charge them cancellation fees. And rebooking is one of the best ways to stay busy as a barber. So it's like, which one would you rather have more, right? I would rather have people cancel or even no show than be hesitant to rebook. That's just me, right? And plus, we run a lot of ads. We want new clients coming in. So when you have cards on file requirement or you charge no show fees, you're just increasing the the effort required to book an appointment with you, and that resistance, that little bit of extra resistance in the booking process, I think it's gonna turn some people off, right? So I don't think that unless you're fully booked all the time, booked weeks in advance, I don't think it makes sense to force people to put cards on file and to charge no-show fees, like because you're not even busy yet. So I would just focus on getting as many people in the door as possible, and eventually, hopefully, you have this problem of now you're too busy and that your time is in super high demand, and now maybe maybe that's when you just raise your prices, right, instead of charging people for card on file and stuff like that. So anyways, that's how our Southside location has helped to kind of lower their no-show rate. And I think that's just going to become standard, like even adding it to our opening checklist, because we go through a checklist every morning when we open up the shop. That's just going to maybe be part of our checklist now, like make sure the towels are folded, um, like clean, fill the Barberside jars with Barberside, text all the people that haven't confirmed for today and make sure they're going to show up. Like that just needs to be part of the opening checklist because it's been very, very effective at lowering our no-show rate. We are going to really be focusing going into next year on dialing and our training. Our new managers can help with that. And we're also experimenting with this idea of having some of the barbers helping with training, which I think is going to turn out to be good. We'll see, because typically I'm usually the one that trains all of the new barbers, and the problem with that is like I'm not always in the barbershop, so we kind of have to schedule training around my schedule, and I don't think that's the best way to do it, because at a certain point, you as a barbershop owner might become the barber. You as a barbershop owner might become the bottleneck in the business. And I think that I might be at that point now in terms of training. So, and it also means that like we can't really hire like new barbers like fresh out of school, because they need a lot of attention and effort in training wise. And if I can't be there, then we basically can't hire kind of newer barbers. So I don't like that. I think that in the long term, it's going to make more sense to be able to do both hire experienced barbers and new barbers. The problem with hiring new barbers is that it requires huge resources to be able to train them to the level that they need to be at. And like, because you have to have trainers, you have to have people that are available to fix basically every haircut they do. And that's expensive, because you got to take this barber who is probably really good and pull them off the floor. They can't take appointments because they have to stand there and watch and potentially fix this new barber's haircut. So, but I think that going forward, that's going to be what we're going to really dial in. So some of the barbers have kind of volunteered to help with training. And I basically block out not their whole day, but just little chunks of time where they can basically stand over other barbers and just kind of guide them through the haircuts. And I've already started to see positive effects of doing things like that. We're also going to test this concept of having like subject matter experts. So for example, like I'm an expert, I think, in the business side, and nobody knows our system better than me. So when it comes to anything like business related, any tech questions about how to use our software, like I'm going to be the one training all the new barbers on that. And going forward, any barbers that already work for us that need help with that. But when it comes to like cutting hair, there might be other barbers that would be better for that. There might be some barbers that are better at fading and other barbers that are better at scissor cuts. And there might be some barbers that are great at retail, and some that are great at rebooking, and some that are really great at retaining clients, and some that are great at cutting fast. And it's very rare that there's any barber that's good at everything, including me, right? So I think that why not take the best person in that field, right, in that subject matter, and that they can train the new barber on that particular skill. So if this new barber needs some training on cutting faster, then I'm going to take the person who is the best at that, and like you just shadow this person, right? And that's all they do. That's all. And then when that barber is good at there, but they need help with maybe getting their retail sales up. Well, I'm going to take the barber that has the best retail sales, and now you guys work together, right? So we're going to test this concept of having subject matter experts as opposed to just one person who shows them how to do everything. and we'll see how that goes. I'll let you guys know. And then when it comes to our memberships, we just turned on this feature called Pay Over Time, which is basically like if you guys have ever used Klarna, Affirm, Afterpay, Sunbit, like so basically people will start to be able to buy an annual membership with us, but like finance it. So this is going to be a really interesting test to see if this works. But some of our memberships are like over $1,000. So some people, that come to us, that's like no problem for them. But I wanted to make it like more accessible. So anybody that wants the annual membership but doesn't want to take that big hit up front, we now have the ability to offer them basically financing. So I'll let you guys know how that works. And we talked about this, but when I went to the conference in Vegas, these guys at the top, man, doing 9 figures. They're not doing anything different, right? They're doing the same stuff. They're just doing it at a different level. So that's probably the biggest lesson I've learned as a barbershop owner, or one of them, is that there's just degrees of skill, right? So it takes 1 degree of skill to be able to fill one location with barbers and clients. But the second you go from 1 to 2, now it's you need to have a whole new understanding of marketing to be able to fill 2 shops and then 10 shops and then beyond that, right? And it's the same thing with managing employees. Like hiring and managing employees for 1 location, not that difficult compared to 2 and beyond, right? So it's not that they're doing anything different. It's just they have such a deeper understanding of that particular subject. But they deal with the same problems that we do as barbershop owners. They deal with people quitting, getting fired, right? Managing employees, marketing, like they deal with all the same stuff. It's just at a different level, right? And there's layers, right? It's not just like the owner does everything. They have people helping them, but it's all the same stuff. So let's quickly, with the last bit of our time here, go over like our October stats. So our Riverside location ended up being 76% booked. That's not bad. And Southside was quite a bit busier at 87% booked. So they definitely need some help. So which is why this new barber coming in is starting at a really great time. All total, we saw 261 new clients just in October. So that's just new clients and just in October. And that's actually pretty average for us. So on average, every month this is about what we're doing, about 260. Sometimes it's over 300, sometimes it's a little bit less, but it's usually between 200 and 300 new clients that we're getting every single month. That's just because we just go hard on marketing, right? Just not just with paid ads, but also organic, social media, things like that. Our YouTube's been really, going strong lately. So we've been posting basically consistently on all of the social media channels for our barbershop and YouTube since the last time I did this call. And that's growing. Our audience is growing. Everything, that all that kind of contributes to the new clients here. It's not all ads. Because this is one thing I learned when it comes to ads, but it's sometimes ads are just kind of like how people hear about you, right? But then they forget about it. But then they see you on social media, and then they see your Google, whatever, or they might start with social media, and then they start to see an ad of ours, and then they go and look us up on Google, and then they end up coming in. So it's like all these things tend to work together. It's not just like one method of getting clients is better than all the rest. I think they all work together. That's why I don't think you should ever stop posting on social media. But it's like you also got to, I think, if you really want to take it to the next level, also make sure your Google profile is strong, your Yelp profile is strong. Also, if you can, run some paid ads. If you need help with that, just let me know. I can help you out with that. But all this stuff kind of works together, right? Because if somebody sees your ad, very unlikely that they're just going to click on it and book an appointment. What they're probably going to do is go to your profile and do some research on you. They see that you're posting regularly. They see that you're posting good content. Then they're like, where is this person? And then they go to Google. They're like, oh, they're right by me. And they see that you have good reviews. So it all kind of works together, right? So if you're only doing one thing to get clients, it's going to be a little bit tougher to scale as opposed to doing all these things together, right? So we focus on all of that. And then our membership program is still growing. It's honestly, it's starting to kind of like like level off a bit when it comes to the growth. Right now, we're like at about 500 members, which accounts for about 35% of our revenue right now, which is pretty good, right? It's not bad. But I think that the only way we're really going to be able to grow that membership is by hiring. It's really like, I think the main opportunity in our business right now is that we just need more help, because Southside being 87% booked last month and Riverside not too bad at 76 tells me that like I can't really put more into marketing unless we get more help. So if I can add a barber here at Southside and drop that number a bit, that frees up room for new clients. And then new clients come in, some of them will become members, and then this percentage of revenue will increase, and we'll be able to continue to grow that membership base. And then rebooking, of course, because we're doing that TV giveaway, has increased a lot. Riverside's average, this is from October to now. October, Riverside's rebooking average was 50%. It went up to 80% as a shop, right? So that's pretty good. And then Southside's is at 39, and it went to 56. So really, really strong improvements in rebooking. Obviously, the TV, I think, has a lot to do with that, because we did a rebooking contest in October, and this was above the numbers in the month prior. So contests work, but the prize that you offer for the contest, I think, is going to have the biggest determination on like the outcome. Like, was it good or bad? Honestly, it depends on what you're giving away, right? The barber should be doing this anyway. So the whole point of the contest is to kind of give them a reason to try, so that they learn the behavior, they learn how to do it, and that they also train the clients. Because the cool thing about rebooking is that once you've trained a client to do it a few times, you don't have to try so hard going forward to get them to do it. Like, they are used to it now. It becomes part of the process, right? So they might even start asking you to start rebooking their next appointment. You might not even have to ask anymore. But when you get it to the front desk to go check them out, they might be like, okay, so let's get the next one set up. Like, because you've trained them so well to rebook that you don't even have to ask them anymore. They just kind of expect it, right? So yeah, so it's not so salesy if you guys as barbers are doing these things every single time. It's when you don't do it and you bring it up every now and then, now it seems like you're trying to sell them something. So if you just talk about product every single time they come in, if you offer to rebook them every single time they come in, if you offer a membership or drop a hint that you offer a membership every single time they come in, it doesn't sound salesy as much as if you just do it every now and then. It's just like, at some point, it's just like, oh, that's just the way they do things here. And if everybody in the shop is doing it, then it's just like, okay, everybody here does that, right? It's just like when you go to Chick-fil-A, you just naturally expect that no matter who you talk to, when you say thank you, they're supposed to say my pleasure, right? It doesn't, so it should be that way in the shop, I think. So if no matter who they go to, the client, no matter who cuts their hair, ideally, if they have the same experience and they're offered the same things every time, it won't seem salesy. But if you don't do it every time, now they're going to start to pick up on, why are you so pushing me so hard this month to do this thing, clients aren't dumb, right? All right, so going into next month, December, idea, main thing, repeat what works, right? It's pretty simple. So we're going to do the TV giveaway again, right? We're going to get a new set of TVs, and we're just going to run that play again, right? It's the holidays. People are in a buying frenzy. TV seems to be a great prize. The barbers really want it. Clients really want it. So we're just going to do it again, right? And we're going to focus on rebooking again. We're going to continue to try to stay ahead of no-shows, because the downside of rebooking, right, is that you might find on the other side of that you may have a ton of no-shows or cancellations. So we're going to try to really push the team to be on top of like texting or calling all the unconfirmed appointments, especially next month, since rebooking has been so strong this month. So that way we can prevent no-shows, because I expect that we're going to see a little bit of a spike next month in last minute cancellations and no shows because the barbers were pushing clients so hard to rebook. So I think it's going to be really, really important going into next month that we stay ahead of the no shows, especially because it's such a busy time of year and it just sucks when you're like fully booked and it's one of the busiest days of the year and then you have no shows, right? But I still don't believe that we should be putting cards on file or charging deposits yet. There is a feature in my software that I might turn on. It's just not working right now, but it's only supposed to charge people that have a history of no shows a deposit. Because, and I love that because that means you're not having to punish everybody for just a few people, doing so. That if that feature starts working, I'm going to turn it on because that'll help kind of prevent no shows going forward. But right now it's basically all or nothing. Either everybody pays a deposit or nobody. But we're going to try to stay ahead of it and be proactive by just either calling or texting people the day of that haven't confirmed their appointment yet, and just make sure that they know they have an appointment coming up and are they planning on making it? If not, let's reschedule, right? We're going to really focus on training new barbers and optimizing the schedule, because that's the thing when you hire barbers, or at least this is the way I've been doing it, is whatever their schedule when they start are the busiest days of the month, or the busiest days of the month, because we typically schedule barbers so that their schedule is always the same. It doesn't really change. And the way we figure out their schedule is we track productivity. So like these are the days that we were busiest. And I just look at the days that have the highest numbers. So it's like, okay, so let's say Saturday and Sunday, we're like 80% or 90% booked on average. And then, Wednesday and Friday are like the two other busiest days of the week. So like when the new barber starts, that's the schedule. The problem with doing that though, is that like things change month by month, and it's great, like in theory, but maybe that's not true anymore. But you always want to have the barbers, what their schedule is, match with what the shop needs, right? And you want to work with people, and sometimes they have restrictions. They can't work certain days, certain hours. But in general, like that's the way we try to schedule people. And the cool thing about having multiple locations is that if you have a slow day at one location, but your other location is busy, then if the barber's cool with it, then you can drop them this day over here and have them go to the other location where it makes more sense to have them over there. That's kind of like one of the few advantages of having multiple locations, is that you can kind of better utilize people's time, right? And there's other ways to optimize the schedule, but that's some of the ways we found. Just like if you're having a slow day, if you're on average, for a few weeks, maybe it's best to take somebody off this day right here and put them on another day where you tend to be more busy. And then going into the new year, we're going to be investing a lot more into the team. I want to do more team outings. I haven't been really good about doing that. Just like meetings with the team, going out, doing something just completely not necessarily work related, just to bond, because I think that one, it's good for the team, right? To do things outside of work, because if you can really enjoy the people you work with, then there's not a lot of bad that can come from that, right? If you just look forward to going to work because you enjoy the people you work with. And the way that benefits the business is if the barbers enjoy working with each other, they're more likely to stick around. Where it's as a barber, it's way easier to leave a barbershop that you don't like anybody that you work with than one where you like everybody. So that's the idea with that. It does actually make business sense to do things with the team, to actually get them to bond and really just get to know each other better and enjoy working with each other. And then going into next year, one of the things that we're going to be doing more of is team trainings. So obviously we're going to be investing a lot more into new barbers that are starting and really dialing in the training there. But I want to do a lot more when it comes to continuing education. So, and this is something you're going to see me posting about in the group soon. But once we start, I plan on having like educators coming out. Like the last one we had was Ivan Zoot. We've had people from Hanzo. We've had people from Gibbs Grooming come out and do classes for us. But when going forward, if we have an educator come out and to do a training with us, I'm actually going to invite you guys, the ones that are inside the group, to join us in person, right? For haircutting classes and marketing stuff, or whatever it is that you want to learn about. There's going to probably be at least a few events in 2025 and going forward where you will actually have the opportunity to come meet me like in person and do training with our team with some of the best people in the industry. That's actually one of the directions I want to go in with this group. So that is pretty much it for this month's workshop. Let me just see if there's any questions. Nope, I don't see any questions. So that's it for today, guys. If you guys enjoyed this, let me know. I'll see you in the next call.